Hey everyone, today is July the 5th, 2026, and this is Wes Fryer for Heal Our Culture. I want to give a short recap about our small group meeting today for the 1526 project, also called Resistance 500, and you can find that curriculum at resistance500.com. This is an outstanding spiritual um, discernment, the spiritual development curriculum that has been created by Ben Boswell and others at Collective Liberation Church. It's actually a team. And you, if you're interested in joining our small group, can go to the website cw.westfryer.com, and that is the Confronting Whiteness website that I started a couple years ago after I had completed that curriculum. What I'd like to do is just show real briefly kind of what we did and what we talked about. And I'm doing this not only to reflect a little bit on what we discussed and talked about, but also to encourage you to check out this curriculum because yesterday was the 250th celebrated birthday of the United States. And I personally definitely claim and am so proud of the aspirational values of our nation that are embodied in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and its amendments and our founding documents. But I also know that there's a lot of things that I did not learn when I was growing up, and I am on a journey of learning, and I believe this is part of that journey. So, this was the outline for our gathering tonight. We started out with introductions, and we're meeting over Zoom. So we actually did have folks from different states that were a part of this. We're gathering for our specific small group at 6 p.m. Eastern time in on Sundays. And so in the Eastern time zone, 6 p.m., that's 5 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Mountain, and 3 p.m. Pacific time. I'm not sure what Arizona is doing right now. But anyway, and it's just about an hour. So we did do some short little introductions as kind of an icebreaker, talking about how we spent the 4th of July this year, and in some cases reflecting on how that might have been different from past years. Um, Sort of like a call to worship, we have gathering words, a scripture verse, a historical reflection on the 1852 speech given by Frederick Douglass. There's an examen, a lament and remembrance liturgy, and then an action step, which involves a counter calendar and then a closing benediction. So I went ahead and made slides for our gathering. And again, this is curriculum that is available on resistance500.com. The cost of it is $15.26. The reason for this being called the 1526 Project is remembering the first rebellion of enslaved people that happened in 1526 in what is now either Georgia or South Carolina. We're not exactly sure exactly where that attempted colony was. We read these verses from Amos 5, and then we reflected a little bit on that 1852 speech by Frederick Douglass on July 5th. And it took place in Rochester, New York, with a group of abolitionists. And this is sometimes called to what is the 4th of July to a slave. And I actually did read the entire about 14-page document. It took about 30 minutes to read and reflect on, and we're going to be reflecting more on that next week. The examen was a time where we sat in silence for 2 minutes and we reflected on these questions, and then we had an opportunity to share with our group, and we were a small group, so we didn't break up into breakout rooms for about 3 minutes each, and we did not fix, we did not give advice, we just listened to each other. And so our questions we reflected on this week were, where in my own body do I carry the 4th of July? What does it feel like? Pride, shame, nostalgia, ambivalence, grief, nothing at all. Where does that feeling live? In my chest, in my throat, in my hands? What was the first version of the American story I was told? Who told it to me? What did it leave out? When Douglas says, this 4th of July is yours, not mine, is it mine? Why or why not? And lastly, what would it mean for me this summer to learn to mourn what I have been taught to celebrate and to celebrate what I've been taught to ignore? And this was really powerful. It was a good opportunity for us to be able to reflect and to process. And honestly, I've been wanting to do a small group like this for quite a while. I've participated in different, in-person and face-to-face groups, but being able to process the change that we're in, the difficult times that we're in really polarized times. There's a lot going on, and it's really important to find and build community. And so that's what I would encourage you to do, no matter where you happen to be in space or time, is find ways to build community, to make connections, and finding this curriculum and this invitation from Ben Boswell to utilize this curriculum as an opportunity to gather was really something that I just, felt like I wanted to do. And so this invitation is open. We did this responsive lament and remembrance liturgy. Of course, we weren't in the same room with a physical candle, but the challenge here was to light a candle and then have this lament, this remembrance. And so we did that together. And then the action counter calendar, and I'm going to go ahead and include links to these in the description that I'm going to put on YouTube, and I'll put this on the Heal Our Culture website at healourculture.org, as well as the Heal Our Culture Substack, because I try to cross post most things in both places. And these are events on the calendar that we may not have learned about growing up, we may not know about. And what I did that was not in the curriculum was I went ahead and linked these to the Wikipedia article because one of my experiences with the Confronting Whiteness curriculum and course, which is a 10-week course that my spouse and I completed about 2 years ago with Kimbo, here in the Charlotte area, and we met on Zoom for 10 different weeks. There was a lot of reading. There were also videos and podcasts and other kinds of media. There was so much. And I think that this Resistance 500 curriculum is similar in that there's a lot to be able to potentially, if we want to, read and process and learn about. And so I'm looking forward to sharing out things that I am learning. So, of all of the dates here, the only ones that I had heard of really, of course, the Amistad, because I saw the movie, the Amistad, and then the Nat Turner Rebellion in 1831, I had heard about, but I don't know a tremendous amount. So I just went ahead and linked these to these Wikipedia articles, and I think that this is going to be an important part of this study is deepening our understanding of what has transpired in the struggle for freedom in the Americas, not just here in the United States, but throughout the Americas. And so, like I said, I'll include that link in the description and the post. We had a closing benediction, and that was it. That was what we did. So I want to encourage you, no matter where you are in time or place, to remember that there are so many positive, good things happening in this world. We do not necessarily hear those and see those when we turn the news on, and social media tends to be filled with rage bait. It tends to be filled with things that are very emotionally inciting, and there are important things happening, and I believe we do want to stay in touch with what's happening with current events, but we also want to take care of ourselves and we need to do work together. And part of that work is self-care, but it's also building community and it's education. And so I want to say a huge thank you to Dr. Reverend Ben Boswell and to the team at Collective Liberation Church and others who are maybe unnamed but have participated in the creation of this 1526 project. Again, I want to encourage you to check it out. It is available at resistance500.com, and you can connect to resources that I'm sharing. I'm going to be sharing videos like this, I think, on a weekly basis, just a quick reflection, just sharing a little bit, nothing confidential about what was talked about. We're not recording these sessions, but my own reflection and experience as I am walking through this journey. I'll close by sharing a tiny bit of a story that I shared tonight, and that was when I left the Air Force and I decided to become a school teacher. I enrolled in classes at Texas Tech University in teacher certification. I ended up getting my master's degree and later deciding to get a PhD there too. But one of the best courses I took was a class on children's literature, and I will never forget learning about a book by Jane Yolen called Encounter, and it portrays the encounter of civilizations between the Europeans who came with Christopher Columbus and the native people, I think it was the Taino people of Hispaniola, what would later be called Hispaniola and become the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and portraying that in a quite different way than I had seen that portrayed before. That class also introduced me to a book called Sadeko and the Thousand Paper Cranes, something like that, which was about um, the United States bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki with nuclear bombs at the end of World War II. And boy, there were a lot of things that really challenged, I think, just sort of the wave the flag, naive, perhaps, history that I had learned growing up. And it was really, really valuable to read the words of Frederick Douglass from 1852 on our nation's birthday yesterday. That document, and also I think the memoir of Frederick Douglass, which I have not read yet, those are available free. They've passed out of copyright, and you can just download them off of Project Gutenberg or other websites. But it is so important to recognize the history of slavery that we have in the United States, the impact that it had, and also the disconnect between the aspirational values of our nation that were articulated in the Declaration of Independence and our other founding documents, but the gap that there was because at the time, those words did not ring true for all people. They did not ring true for women, and they did not ring true for the enslaved Africans. And today, we still have a legacy of slavery, but also white supremacy. And now, has been termed Christian nationalism or white Christian nationalism, I like to call it Christian unnationalism because if you are elevating the nation above all, you are, in my perspective, not following God and not following Jesus. That's not, as a Christian, what I understand my call to be. I have an allegiance and a citizenship in multiple places and in the kingdom of God. That is the ultimate citizenship. But I have rights and responsibilities within the nation and within my state, my community, my family as well. So, thank you for listening. My name is Wes Fryer. Again, if you're interested in joining our particular small group, we're going to be meeting for 19 more weeks. This is a 20-week project, and you don't have to commit to come to all of it. Come and see, and you can fill out a form that you can find on cw.westfryer.com. I hope that you are in a space where you have good air conditioning if you're experiencing the heat wave that we are in the eastern United States right now. And I hope that you are finding ways to not only be a culture healer instead of a culture warrior, I hope that you're also finding ways to fill your mind with goodness and with good news and also just with positive hope because we cannot lose our hope. We have to maintain our hope and find ways to hold on to that hope and to work together for a better tomorrow, for those aspirational goals, for what has been termed the moral imaginary um, of our nation. Together we can work for a better and brighter tomorrow. Take care.